Okay, let's try to complete this CSS text shadow. This one is related to the CSS text property, and in the last lecture we couldn't complete this one. Let's try to complete this one. Okay, this one is about the shadow effect. The text shadow property adds some shadow to the text. And for example, this one. This is called horizontal shadow. And also vertically, that is showing some shadow and how we can provide then shadow effect. Here, two values here. First one is about the horizontally affecting shadow, and this one is vertical shadow. And if you are trying to change it, then you can see if I am removing that horizontal shadow, then it is showing that there's no shadow. And also similarly, if I am removing the shadow vertically, then you can see there's no shadow effect at all. Also, we can show some color of the shadow. In our real shadow, there's no color, but the shadow effect is providing some color effect. And the third one, last one, that is about the shadow color. And also we can make it blurred. That is called the blur effect. And how much it is blurred, we can control it to this value. Third one, that is the, okay, let's try to use that blur value, this one. And first one is horizontally in the x-axis, and the second one is about vertical, that means y-axis, according to y-axis, that is being affected. Third one is about the blurring effect, and if we are using 0, then that means no blur effect, like this, so clear. And if we are increasing the number, then that this is showing some blurring effect, like this. If we are providing very large value, then you can see that is blurred so much. Okay, you can try others. And let's move to this CSS font property. Font, the difference between serif and sans serif fonts. Sans means there is no serif. Serif means this in this edge. That is called serif, and this one is red serif. And without serif, that means sans serif. We cannot see any serif here. Okay, anyhow, CSS font families. Here some families, you can refer to them. And here some font family property. We are learning about the property name, and this one is about the font family property. And font family, here we can enumerate, and depending upon the order of that enumeration, the first one will be applied first if that the font family is existing, and if that is not there, then second one will be applied in that sequence. Okay, you can refer to others. In 1 hour, we should complete this lecture number 5, part C. I will try to proceed in past mode. There's some topics, if that is not very important, then I will assign as a reading assignment. And CSS font family, font style here. CSS font style. Font style properties mostly used to specify italic text here. And normally property has three values: normal, italic, oblique. Oblique means leaning. Oblique is very similar to italic but less supported. And here we can provide these property values here. Depending upon that value, we can see normal first, second one is italic, third one is oblique. Font weight, that is about the thickness of that font, and we can see the normal and this one is bold, and the 900. With this number, that is the maximum, the thickness, the level of the thickness. That is the here font weight. Font variant, and this property specifies whether or not a text should be displayed in a small caps font. Small caps font, for example, here. And the difference, normal is this one, capital and uppercase, capital and uppercase, but this one is uppercase, all of them, but the smaller one, that is variant, small caps. Okay, let's try to close the open tabs first, and let's move to next in fast mode. CSS font size. In terms of design, the font style, font size, and font color, those are important. It is affecting the design immediately. There's a font size property says the size of the text, and let's look at the font size with pixels. There may be some units, and one of them is this pixel unit. Depending upon the size of that pixel, it's a large number, then it will be enlarged. And another unit, that is EM. EM means M. Alphabet M. You can think about the capital M. That is the reference size. To allow users to resize the text, many developers use an EM, M, instead of pixels. You can try this M size. And this M size, EM size, unit is recommended by the W3C. And this one is equally, we can compare 1 EM is equal to the 16 pixel. Thus, if the number value is pixel unit, in pixel unit, then if we are dividing it to the 16, then we can get the EM unit like this. If 40 pixel is given, then if we are dividing it to 16, then 2.5 EM, that is 2.5 EM. Also, in reverse way, we can calculate the pixel size. If that EM is given first, then we can multiply it to the number 16, then we can get the value unit in pixel. And also we can use the percent relative size. The solution that works in all browsers is to set the default font size in percent for the body element like this. And we can use this EM also. Responsive font size. Later we'll look at the viewport, and we have the unit here, strange unit here, VW unit. VW means viewport width. Viewport means, okay, let's look at this one first. Resize the browser window to see how the font size scales. Viewport is, okay, let's look at this real example, that may be better. Okay, this one. Let's try to shrink and enlarge. Depending upon that, you can see this size is being changed. And let's look at this source code here. meta tag is being used here. Name is the viewport. Initial scale is 1.0, and here this one is using viewport width. That unit, VW, means viewport width. What's that? Viewport width, one viewport width. That is here. One viewport width is equal to 1% of viewport width. Viewport width means the whole 100% is the whole window size, and one viewport means 1% of that. And relatively to that window size, the size is decided. Thus, if I am enlarging or shrinking, depending upon that, you can see. Okay, let's look at this one first. H1 size, font size is a 10 view window. And let's look at the one view window. What's that? How big is that? One view, then we can compare to this reference size. Then this, you can see, probably you cannot see clearly, the very smaller one, smallest one here, that is one viewport window, viewport width actually, one viewport width. And if we are increasing a little bit, then you can get some feeling about the viewport width. This is 2 VW, viewport window width, and so on. And 10 times. Then this one is 10 times. 20 viewport width. Okay, let's move. So next, font property. Still we are learning about the font property, and there may be several properties, and we can use also here shorthand property. Instead of the fully describing the property name, and it may be difficult to remember as a beginner of this CSS user. And later, if we are very familiar with that property name, then it doesn't matter. But initially, we don't know exactly about that, and it is very difficult to remember. Then you can use this shorthand property here, font, simply, and enumerate. Then we can use that. Okay, you can try others. Okay, some chapters, those are not probably those will not be asked in their midterm exam, and those are left for reading assignment, but I will not ask in the midterm exam. And some excluded chapters are checked, and that is crossed mark, and that is explained in the announcement. Then you can refer to that announcement, and probably 4 chapters are excluded, and this one is one of them. Simply you can refer to that. This is CSS icons. Simply we can bring from some URL outside, and we can use that icons from this website. And if we want to use that, then we can describe that source here, and some URL here. Then we can use those icons, bootstrap icons here, also here, if we are using link, and we can bring here, and you can report to that. Also Google icons you can use with this link, and some Google API.com icons here. Then we can use those icons. Okay, CSS links. We are using hyperlink using this anchor tag, and we can change the design, and there are several properties related to that design. here, for example, if that is hyperlinked and this hot pink color, if that is hyperlinked one, we can provide that color like this. Thus, we can differentiate from other plain text into this hyperlinked one. We can differentiate. Sometimes we want to show differently whether that is visited or not, or when that is my mouse is hovering over there or not, and if I am clicking or not. Depending upon that, we can provide some different design. And the CSS here is providing that the properties, and if we are using that, then we can apply that design. Here for linked one and the visited one, and this one is pseudo class, and that is belonging to that hyperlinking, and depending upon the state, whether that is linked and whether that is visited or not, whether that is hovered or not, we can show different design. Also, text decoration. This is mostly used to remove underlines from link. Sometimes, if the underline is bothering, then we can remove simply. Simply the number, the value is here, none. If we want to provide some underline, then this is default, but underline. Depending upon that, you can try here. You can see this one is initially none, but if my mouse is hovering there, then that is underline because of this declaration, and that is defined here. If we are using underline, probably that is the default text decoration. Let's remove simply, then you can see, because that is default. Okay, you can try others. Link buttons. This example demonstrates a more advanced example where we combine several CSS properties to display links as boxes, buttons. Here, if that is hyperlinked one, if that is visited, depending upon that, we can provide. This one is using the same. This one is using the same style, same design, because that is using the same style declaration. And for hovering, for active, for that case, we are using same background color here. Okay, you can try others. Okay, CSS list. We learned about the UL in HTML tutorial, and the OL, ordered list, and that is ordered like this. And in terms of design, this bullet or some even image we can provide instead of this bullet. And here, let's look at this real example. Here, list style type circle, then that is circle, and square, that is upper Roman, lower alphabet here. Depending upon that value, for that list style type, we can show different type here. Even an image can be used. For example, here this is image. Here, this one is the URL for that image. Square purple.gif, that image is being used here. For better design, if this one is required, then you can use this scheme. Okay, another one is list style position. Let's look at this one. The slight difference here. The bullet is outside and the bullet is here, the inside. And here this one is about, the first one is outside, and the last one is this one is inside, depending upon that. And what is the name of that property? List style position. Depending upon that, we can provide that different position. Okay, you can refer to others. Also, for that list property, we can use shorthand property. And this is a convenient one. There's you can try this one instead of the full description for each property name. This style, and enumerate here. Okay, this one is providing some color. Similarly, we can use this hexadecimal value, or even the color name. Okay, you can try others. CSS tables. This is table. In terms of that table design, we can use some CSS properties, and those are related to these tables. And let's look at this one. Table borders. This is border, and this is border property. And border, if we are using shorthand property, then as we learned already, table and others grouped together here, and all of them they are using the same border property, like this. And if we want to remove that the double line, then we can use this collapse table borders. The value is collapse, and the property name is border collapse. Then we can remove double line. Instead, we can show this single line in terms of the border line. Also, okay, let's move. And the table width and height, we can use that property names width and height. And the example is here: table width, height. The unit is percent here, and horizontal alignment. Also, in this table, sometimes we want to provide some alignment inside of this column. Each column that should be aligned in the left side, or centered, or aligned in the right side, and this one is being used for that. This is text align property. Text align left. And also sometimes if that column that is like this, then vertically we want to position. We want to locate this one in the middle, then that is related to the vertical alignment. And this one is providing that vertical alignment. The name is, property name is vertical align. Bottom, like that. Middle or top, depending upon that, we can show in each column. In other way, with the padding, also padding is inside of that, the empty space. Thus, with this one, we can provide some effect in terms of the vertical alignment. The result will be shown like this, only using this padding style, 15 pixel. Okay, we can choose the borderline only the border bottom instead of others, only the bottom line that will be chosen, and we can provide some design. Then the others are omitted, and then we can simplify the table like this. Depending upon our mouse is hovering there or not, depending upon that position of my mouse. You can see this different shade here, effect. That is related to the background color. If, okay, let's look at this real example. Border, okay, we are using this one, and this one is related to the this one. Table low is this one, right? This one, each horizontally, this one, low. And I am hovering to my mouse, then the background color will be changed like that. And to show different color clearly, we can use this red color instead of the other color to compare clearly. I'm hovering this, then you can see this is red color. Okay. Sometimes we want to provide, if we want to provide this striped table, that means this is striped one. First one, second one, third one, and the second one, first one, those are using same, and the others are different. Thus that it seems like a zebra, and that is called the zebra striped tables. And if we are using nth child selector, and later we'll learn about this one a little more in detail, but this one is shown and introduced in advance. Here, this one is about that. Table row, nth child, and even, that can be odd or even, then that is using background color, this color. Let's try to use this real example. Here, let's focus on that. Table row, nth child, even, then even means the order. First one will be the number 1 row, number 2, number 3, like that. That's number 1 is odd number, and number 2 is even number. Only even number, you'll get this background color. Let's try to change other clear color instead of this RGB blue color. Then you can see. Let's try to move. Let's try to change this one. Odd instead of even, odd. Then you can see that the stripe will be changed. Only the even number will show that background color. Okay, you can refer to others. And responsive tables. This one probably may be explained in the later part in the CSS, probably in the last lecture in the next week. That is about the responsive app design. And depending upon the size of that, I reduced the size. And you can see that is responsibly, the size is being changed. That is called responsive app design. Depending upon the window size, here this one is shown in window, and depending upon the size, that is shrinking automatically. In terms of design, it is much better. It is showing everything, and it is adjusted to that window size. That is called responsive app design. Think about some screen of the smartphone, as well as the screen of the personal computer. Then may be different, and depending upon the size, that is adjusted automatically. That is called responsive app design. And we'll learn later. Okay, layout. This one you can just refer to this one as a reading assignment. Not the reading assignment. I will explain about that. This one, from this, we have many layout related properties. First one is display. This one is not reading assignment. We should discuss here. Layout. There are several chapters here. Let me show you. We are now looking at this display, and the next one, next one, next one, next one, like that. Those are all probably seven chapters. Those are related to the layout. Let's look at others in advance. Then also this one is about the layout, and this one is about use and height, use and maximum width. And also next one, that is about the, let's pick this one, and this one is about also about the layout and plot and clear. We learn anyhow, and let's go back to the previous position. Not this one, probably display. We should, we just finished the tables right after that. That is CSS layout and the display property. This is important. One of the important properties, display property, is the most important CSS property for controlling layout. Display, to show on the screen, how to show, how to display. This one is about that. The display property specifies if how an element is displayed. And there are two values in terms of that display. And this one is block and inline. We learn about the difference between them. Click here, click to show panel. You can see. And display, depending upon the click, you can see and see or not. This panel contains a div element which is hidden by default. Thus, we couldn't see this one first, initially. After we are clicking this one, we could see this one because we are using JavaScript to show it. And this is display block. And we learn anyhow. First, block label elements. Block label element means it is starting on a new line and takes up or occupying the full width available. That means stretches out to the left and right as far as it can. This is stretching out to the left, to the right, as far as it can. That is taking whole line. That is called the block label element. div element is one of the block label element, and others. H1, H6, those headings are also block label elements. Paragraph, also form, header, footer, section. Those are occupying or taking whole line. And comparing to that, this inline element is occupying a portion of a line, like this, span. This one is occupying or taking a portion of the space of one line. This one is takes up as much use as necessary. Only necessary space is being used. That is being taken. And the inline elements are here. Span and anchor for hyperlinking, we use that. And image also, that is inline elements. Please remember. Okay, first let's look at and let's focus on display. Display, this one can have the value none. None means not displayed. Here. Okay, override the default display value. Okay, here inline. Okay, initially that was block label element, but this one can be changed. It is display. That should be inline. And let's remove this one. Then we can see the default. Cut and run. You can see each one. Here li list. Each list, it is taking one full single line like this. That is because that is block label element. Li. And but we can change li here in this style property style declaration. We can change it to the inline. Instead of using whole single line for each, only the necessary space should be used. In terms of design, this kind of design may be necessary, then we can apply like this. Okay, that should be displayed in line, each li. Then this one is taking only the necessary space in a single line like this. Okay, also span. Initially that default is span is inline element, but we can change it to the block element. Here, the following example displays span element as block elements. We can change it. And here span, let's look at this span here. Span, a display property resulting like this. A display property resulting. And if we are not using this span, then it is using the empty space because it is taking only the necessary space. There's okay, we can remove also this one to eliminate any confusion. Then you can see, depending upon the screen, the window size, you can see it is occupying the empty space in the single line. But if that is over that single line, because the window size is like this, because it is shrinking, and it is moving to the next line like that. But let's go back. If we are using this block value for that display, then it is, even though there is some empty space, it is using next line like this from here. Span, this one is using single line, and this one is using another line. This because this is declare with these block level elements and this display property. Even though we are enlarging the size of the window, it is still occupying each single line because that is block element. It is being changed to that. Okay, you can try others. Okay, here hide an element, display none or visibility hidden. Those applications are shown here. This one is about the display and the value is none. Then if I am clicking this one, then you can see that will be removed. Okay, like this. It is gone away. And if I am also, I can hide this one, but in different way. Hide, I am hiding, then it is still occupying. It is still taking the space like this. That's the main difference between them. Display none, it is not taking any space. Visibility hidden, those are hiding, but with this one, it is still taking some space. Okay, you can try others. Okay, still we are learning about the CSS layout, and this use and the maximum use is related to that layout property. We learned about this maximum use already, but this one is repeating again because the category, this one is the another category about that. This one is explained again. And margin auto we also learned again. We are learning again here. We learned, even though we learned previously, we are learning here. Okay, margin auto, with this one horizontally, the empty space can be divided equally, left side and right side, like this. Left side, right side, evenly, equally, those are being shared with this auto. If we are removing that auto, let's remove this first one, then you can see, even though I am enlarging the window size, it is not sharing equally. The second one is using still auto, thus that is sharing equally. Thus, in terms of design, this is important, right? Sometimes that should be centered, and with this margin auto, we can make it centered. Okay, still we are learning about the layout and especially about the position property. Position. This one is about position. And this one can have several values. And the first one is static. Actually, this one is default value. If we are not specifying any value, then automatically it is using this default value, static. That is static. And I will explain about that. And relative, fixed, absolute, sticky. Let's look at this one first. Right side, that is still there. The position is fixed and sticky. And let's look at from the static position first. HTML elements are positioned static by default, static. And static positioned elements are not affected by the top, bottom, left, and right property values. Properties. This one, even though we are providing different values, it is not being affected at all because that is static. Here, let's look at this real example that may be better for understanding. Here, if we are not defining anything about the position, and that is automatically, that is default, and it is the same, even though we are removing this one, cut first, and still we will have the same result because that is the default. Okay, I'll be back. The same position value for static. To this one, the border 3 pixels. This one is about that border line and the thickness and the style, the type of that. The color, and this hexadecimal is the color is like this. There's here nothing special, and we can compare it to the following examples. Then we can understand what's the main difference between them. If we are using relative instead of static, that was the default. And here we can control the position. Let's look at this real example. Position relative. And the left, that is about the position value, 30 pixel. Then from left, it is indented 30 pixel to the right side, like this. If I am removing this, okay, also here we can use the comment statement. I can make it comment statement with this one. Then you can see this left 30 pixel is not being affected. If we are using static, then it is same. There's to make it indented a little bit like that. If we want to use left property and the other top property names that will be shown later, and then we should use this position relative instead of static. Then we can apply that design here. Position fixed, as the name is meaning, that is self-explanatory, and the position fixed. Here position is fixed, and position is fixed, and bottom 0, right 0, like this. And even though I am scrolling, or I am enlarging this one, still that is fixed because we are using this position fixed, and the position, the axis in terms of the bottom right, that value is 0 and 0. That is position values. Position absolute. This absolute is okay. Let's read this one first. An element with position absolute is positioned relative to the nearest position ancestor. Instead of positioned relative to the viewport, like fixed, it is depending upon the ancestor position. However, if an absolute positioned element has no positioned ancestors, that is important, it uses the document body and moves along to page scrolling. And we'll look at some examples later after completing this one. a positioned element is 1 whose position is anything except static. And here is an example, simple example here. If we want to put this element here, this div element here, then how? To make it positioned here, we can use relative position property value and also absolute position value here. Then we can show here like this. First one is the larger rectangle, that is about this. The style is declared here. Second one, the smaller one here, that is using position value absolute. That is smaller one, which is 200 pixel. The larger one, 400 pixel. Height is 200. The smaller one is using 100 height. And let's look at this real example. Here, this one is using relative. And if I am trying to remove this one, cut. Let's try what's happening. Okay, we cannot control this one in the right position to put in the right position. And instead of the static, we should use relative first. Then that is the relative position. Depending upon that, this absolute, that is meaningful. This relative, that is following this one, and the use is 400 because this is empty space right after this, and this one is being used for that. And height is like that, and the border thickness is like that. And after that, let's look at this one. This one is div outside, and inside this div can contain another div, and also this div can contain another one, but this one is the last one. And also here only 2 div pairs are being used here. Inside one, the smaller one, this one. This one is using absolute. This absolute is not real absolute. This is only this is the whole universe, whole world for this. The others are not hidden, not shown. The others are not shown. And this relatively, this one is the whole thing, and relatively that is the starting point, and this one is the okay, let's look at this one first. The top is 80 pixel. 80 pixels is from here to here, and the right 0 from here to here. And if we are removing this 80 and we are changing to 0, then you can see not this one. Not this one. This one is about the absolute second one, a smaller one. And instead of this, let's try to understand this one first. Okay, this one is relative, and this is like that. And after that, relatively, this is the reference position. And from here, top 80 pixels down. Okay, let's try to remove this one. And the 0 pixel, then that is the reference point 0, and the right side 0. If we are using instead of this right, left, we can do that, and that will be shifted to the left like this. And this is the position, reference position, and the top about 80 pixel. Then below that, 80 pixels down. That may be shown here. And we can control in that way. Thus, to use absolute, this one, before that we should use relative, like that. Another position value, sticky. As the name is meaning, that is sticky. And the sticky means like this. If I am trying to show this one, and that is, okay, let's try to look at this real example. That may be better for understanding. Okay, this one is the window, and I am scrolling. Then you can see that is sticky. It is attached here, and like they're sticky, and it is not scrolled anymore. About this, and that is the supported recently. Thus, depending upon the version of the browser, that may be supported or not, and later we look at this one later, and depending upon the supportability to support, depending upon the browser and the version, we should sometimes provide this kind, and later we'll focus on that, and I will explain a little more in detail later. But at this moment you don't need to worry about that. Just remove, because this Chrome browser, this version is supporting that. Without that, still same, like this. For older browser, and if that is not supporting this one, to support that, we can use that previous position value, like this, dash WebKit dash static sticky, but you don't need to worry about it at this moment. Okay, overlapping elements. Sometimes we want to show, this one is also one of the important properties. And the jet index. Jet index, it seems to be strange, but simply you can use jet dash index property. That is the property name. And it is controlling the stack order of an element. Let's think about, this one is front side, and the back side we can see the image. Sometimes you can change that depending upon that jet index value. Okay, if that jet index value, okay, image is -1, and that means the first one is 0, and relatively the -1, it is being shown first. Later the others are shown. Thus, if we are using different value, instead of that, how about +1, then you can see it is shown later. Thus, it is overlapping. It is hiding the previous text string, a portion of the text string. Thus, you can change any value, even any big number you can use. If we can differentiate the order, then that's enough. Even though that is a very small number or a large number, we are just comparing which one is the bigger one. The big one will be bigger one. The big number, if that is using that jet index value, that is the big number, then that will be shown later. And you can see this one is shown first, and later this one is shown, like that. That is about jet index property. And sometimes we want to position text in an image like this: top left, top right, centered, bottom left, bottom right, and top left. To show that, we can use this. Let's look at this bare bone part, only contents here, and this one showing that image. And first one, container, and the second one is using the image in this container that is holding the source image inside of that container, and inside of that, to show that top left, that the legend or the title here, this one's using another div. Class name is top left. Okay, we are learning about this class top left. To show that on the image, top left here, we are using this position property, and container, that is relative position, and depending upon that, relatively, this absolute position is decided, as we learned. The top left, those are meaningful, and the reference point is here, and 8 pixel down from top, and 16 pixel right side from the line, you can control. How about 0? Then you can see the reference point, 0. Like this, 0 and 0. And depending upon the value, we can shift. Okay, you can try others. Okay, overflow, CSS layout, overflow. Sometimes the container box is so limited and our contents are huge, and then maybe overflow, and we can control that overflow. How? With this overflow property, we can control what happens to content that is too big to fit into an area. That is also related to the design issue. For example, here, if that is not shown properly, then we can provide this scroll bar like this. Then we can see others. Here, overflow scroll. Probably let me try to eliminate that. Then you cannot see scroll bar is not shown here. Thus we cannot see the other overflowed contents. We cannot see. That is not so good design. Instead of that, we will use this overflow property to control that. Here, visible, hidden scroll, auto. Depending upon that, we can show the scroll bar. Depending upon that, okay, visible is default. The overflow is not clipped. The whole thing will be shown. And hidden, if we are using this hidden, then overflow is clipped and we cannot see the last part of the content. If we are providing the value scroll, then overflow is clipped and the scroll bar is added to see the rest of the content if we need. And auto, this is automatically shown if that scroll bar is required, if that is necessary. First one, visible. Then the others, even though that is overflowed, that is shown like that, visible. And hidden. The others overflowed, those are clipped and we cannot see. Those are hidden here. And overflow scroll. If those overflowed contents are still there and we need some scroll bar to look at to see the others, and if we are using that. Auto. If that is being required, then this scroll bar is shown. Let's look at this one. Scroll bar is required, but if the contents is not very long and only single line will be enough, then let's look at. Then you can see whole thing can be shown, and we don't need to use the scroll bar. Thus, this scroll bar is not shown automatically. Okay, the time is almost 1 hour now from the beginning. It took 1 hour. Now we should hurry up. Overflow X, and in terms of design, direction, axis, we can control that overflow like this. And you can see, I will leave this one as a reading assignment. You can report to that. Okay, still we are learning about the layout, and this one is about plot and clear. Also, this one is one of the most important topics and about the layout and the plot property and the clear property. As the name is meaning, that is about plotting. Think about the lake. On the lake, some leaf and leaves, those are plotted, and this one we can control the plotting. And sometimes we can control the plotting, and we can remove it clear. And let's look at this one. Sometimes we want to show this one. Example, plot right. Let's focus on that. This one we want to, in terms of design, if we want to show on the right side, and if that is plotted, then how about the plotting on the right side? We can do that like this, with this property name and property value, plot and right. Then that will be plotted on the right side. How about the left side? Instead of this right, left, then we can show on the left like this. And you can Try others. Float left is that. No float. And if we don't provide any floating effect, then this num value is for that. And sometimes we want to clear because here clear left. Sometimes we want to show float left here. div1, this one is float left, and div2, that is this one is div1, and div2 is 1 pixel solid red line. That is about div2. That's square, rectangle. First one and second one, let's compare. This one is including that, div1. This one is not including that, div3. And they are different. They are apart from each other. And sometimes we want to, for example, this one should be shown in different area. Then if that is plotted, then that will be overlapped like that. Then we can show in different area, and it is taking different space. Then we can control that. Here let's look at this one first, div1 and div2. div1 and div2. div1 is plotting using plot left, just like that. Even though div2 is shown here, that is plotted. That is shown here. And let's look at this one, second one. div3, div4, we want, in terms of our design, we want to show div3 first here in this position, and the div4 after that, right after that, not overlapped. Then we should use this one, div3, even though that is left. If we are using this left, clear left, then it is clearing, and after that one, the space is cleared. And here we can take that space. div4 is taking that space. Okay, you can refer to others. Still, we are learning about the plot example. Okay. This one is explaining about the border box sizing. Box sizing we learned already, and to make it same size in terms of the size of the different element in terms of design, we can control that. And the box sizing is this one. Even though there is some padding area, we can control with the same size defined in the width property name. Okay, you can try others. Okay, in terms of design, that the equal size in terms of design, that is important. There is some way. And this one is using Flexbox. Flexbox will be discussed later, and you can read by yourself and try to understand reading assignment. This one is reading assignment. Okay, about navigation bar, navigation menu. Later, those navigation bar, those are shown, explained later in other chapters. We learn about them. And those are related to the responsive app design. We learn in the navigation, those are navigation bar in the responsive app design section in detail about that. Thus, I'll skip that here. Inline block, and this we learned about inline. Also, we learned about the block, and this one is inline block. One characteristic of the inline, another characteristic of block element, those are combined, mixed. Compared to display inline, the major difference is that display inline block allows to set width and height on the element. We can provide some width and height. Also, display inline block, the top and the bottom margins paddings are respected, but with display inline, they are not. Thus, with this inline block, we can provide some other characteristics in terms of design. We can provide. Those are explained here. Compared to display block, the major difference is that display inline block does not add a line break after the element, so the element can sit next to other elements. Thus, it seems to be inline element, but not exactly the same to that inline element. It seems to be the block element, not exactly the same to that block element. Thus, those are combined. Okay, depending upon the inline, the value or inline block, what's the main difference between them? Here, we can provide some size here, inline. Span dot A, class name A and class name B, class name A, class name B here, yeah. We can provide some the height, width and height here. For class name A here, even though we are providing some width and height, those are not applied here because that is inline display. But to pack to that value, height and width, we should use this inline block. Then we can show this one. If we are using the block value instead of this inline block, then simply this one is occupying or taking another line like the block element, because that is a block element. That's the difference between them. Okay, time is over now. Let's try to move, and you can try others. And horizontal and vertical align. Also, those are important in terms of design. Sometimes those should be aligned. Our content should be aligned properly and on the screen, and vertically or horizontally we should have some mechanism to control them. In terms of our design, there's some way like that. As we learned already, margin auto or IS, those can be used. In terms of this center align text, we can use this center value for this text alignment. Then we can put that text string in the center. Also, we want to position our image in the center. Then we can show like that. And here, margin left or margin right, those are used here respectively, but simply we can use, as we learned already, but I'll show you again here, even though that was shown previously, briefly. And margin auto, then the empty space horizontally, those will be used in the same way, but in the simpler way we can show this one. Left and right align. Using other method, this one is using. There are many different ways to provide that layout or alignment here. Alignment is our focal point here. We should focus on that. And in this way, we can provide some alignment here, the position, absolute. As we learned, relative and absolute, with that one we can provide some position placement. Also float, we can control that alignment. Float right or float left, depending upon that, we can provide that alignment also. And if that is overlapped and we can control this overflow, then we can fit in this container. Center vertically, or we learned about that. And also with other method, with the padding, we can provide some empty space, then we can provide some alignment, vertical alignment effect, like this. Line height, also with this one we can provide that vertical alignment. Line height, it's this one. Even though those results are showing the same vertical alignment, but there may be some different way to implement that. And this one is using position and transform to show that vertical alignment. And those are real source code for that. Also, at this moment, you don't need to worry about that. Flexbox, later we'll look at this one. And this is the new contents. This you can also use Flexbox to center things. Just note that Flexbox is not supported in the previous version. Well, obsolete in the previous version, that is not supported. And recent version is supporting this one, Flexbox. With this one also we can provide some alignment. Okay, the others, combinators. This one is about the combination and how to combine together. And in terms of the different kinds of combinators, there are several. And one is descendant selector. And another one is child selector. We can select. That is called combinator. And adjacent sibling selector, general sibling selector. Okay, descendant. In terms of the family tree, there is some hierarchy. And this one is descendant selector. Which one should be selected? That is the way. This one is div, and belonging to that, p is belonging to that, and that is selected. And this style is applied to only to that. Let's look at here. There are many other paragraphs here. Among them, we are choosing only this p element here belonging to this div area here, and the others here, those are not chosen. And we want to apply only to that subset. And here we can choose in this way. div first, and this one is descendant. This one is hierarchically, this one is descendant. This one is parent and child relationship, and this one is descendant. And this one is grandchild for that, and descendant. And those are using this declared style, arrow. Child selector. Child selector, let's focus on that. This one is choosing children. This one is choosing children. div belonging to that, only child, direct child, not grandson. Here, let's look at this one. Those are direct child, children, and those are selected. But this one, grandchild, that is not selected. This one is selecting. This one is about combinators. Adjacent to sibling. Sibling is due to this one plus character. We can show, we can select only the sibling. div sibling, same. This is brother and sister relationship, and this one is number third. This one direct. Okay, this one is showing adjacent sibling. Plus means adjacent one. There are many brother and there may be many brother and sister. Among them, only this one. This is the first and the second brother and sister relationship. Sibling is that. The adjacent to sibling, adjacent brother and sister relationship. Next one is not adjacent one. Thus this one is chosen, and that style is applied. General sibling. With this one, generally, any brother and sisters are using the same style like this. Here, div and the p, div and the p here. Those are using same design. Okay, you can try others. Okay, pseudo class. Those are classes, but pseudo. not real pseudo class. What a pseudo class is? A pseudo class is used to define a special state of an element. For example, it can be used to style an element when a user mouse is over it. My mouse is over here. Then you can see we can provide that kind of design effect. Also here, I am clicking here. You can see the design is changed. How we can provide. Here some pseudo classes here. Pseudo class. The syntax is like that. Selector some element, after that colon, and the pseudo class name here. Then we can provide here inside that is style declaration. We learned already about this. This is pseudo class, a kind of pseudo class. Link, pseudo class name link, pseudo class name visited. We learned about already. And you can try. We learned already. Also another one. This is the class name belonging to that A, and we can apply this pseudo class hover effect. And my mouse is hovering there, then you can see this one is not affected in terms of that style, and this one is being changed, and this is being affected, and this one is for that. This one is selector. A and highlight. A and the class name is highlight. Only that element is being affected into this hovering effect. And second one is not using that class name. Okay, after closing some open the tabs, let's try to complete as soon as possible because time is already past now almost 17 minutes, past 1 hour and 17 minutes. It took a long time. Hover 1 here. Hover div to this element specifically. This div we can provide that hovering effect like this. Thus, this hover can be applied to any other element. It is convenient to provide that effect simply. Okay, you can refer to others. And also the first child pseudo class. Among them, we can choose first one. And also we can choose the first child depending upon the name of that property. And we can, that is self-explanatory, and we can see which one will be chosen. First child, P and first child, I, and that will be applied. Okay, you can try others. Okay, let me try to finish this pseudo elements. This is very similar to the previous pseudo class, but this one is named pseudo elements. Very similar. A CSS pseudo element is used to style specified parts of an element. For example, it can be used to style the first letter or line of an element and insert content before or after the content of an element. We can do that. Here, pseudo element, we should use this double colon here. But you can use single colon like our previous class, pseudo class. This one is about the first line pseudo element here. Instead of this, okay, here, first line will be chosen here, and that we can apply that style declared style here. And even though we are using single, the result will be same because in the obsolete version, in the previous version, the only single colon was being used, and later to differentiate from the pseudo class and the pseudo element, this double colon, double the colon that is being used, but we can use single colon or double colon here, and thus we can eliminate one colon here. Thus we can use just a single colon, and you can try. Post letter we can specifically choose and we can apply that declared style. Post letter like this, post letter we can apply that declared style, color, red color, and the size should be like that, and 400 times, 4 times bigger than that. Multiple pseudo element. Okay, you can try others. And before pseudo element, as the name is meaning, before this one, we can provide this. Before this one, we can provide this content and URL, that image content, that URL of that image that will be shown for that H1. We can apply this one. Also after, right after that, we can show that the image, smiley image. Okay, you can refer to others. Okay, there's some remaining part, and I will introduce in the next lecture because the time is up already. Thus I'll wrap up here.